Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hello. My name is Clara Bergen. I'm on the team at Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity, and I want to welcome you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to our third annual Women Build Lunch turned breakfast. At this time, I'd like to kick us off by saying thank you to everyone who served as a past Women Build co-chair or team captain. Volunteers are at the heart of our organization, helping to build a community where everyone has a safe, decent, and affordable place to call home. If you have served as a Women Build co-chair or team captain, will you please stand? Thank you. If you have volunteered with the Women Build or on a Habitat Build site, will you please stand? That's pretty amazing. Wow. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your time with us. I'd also like to recognize a really special group of volunteers. Our board of directors gives their time in a very meaningful way, as well as their expertise. If you serve on the Habitat board of directors, could you please stand? In a moment, we'll continue with the breakfast portion of our event, making great conversation at your tables. During that time, please select someone at your table who's going to leave with the centerpiece. And now, to lead us in prayer, I'd like to invite Habitat board member and Chief Human Resources Officer with Athene, Christy Burma, to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I'm proud to serve as a board member for Habitat. What a great organization, great team, great board members. Truly a privilege to serve in this role. I spoke about my father recently at a Habitat event who has Alzheimer's. It helps me a bit to keep the faith when I share some stories about him, and I was asked to share that story again. I think if I went to him today and said to him, I'm speaking at a Women Build breakfast, he would just smile at me and say, that seems like a really good thing to do. And I think he would also say, remember how you were raised, and remember Sunday mornings when I taught you about your time, your talent, your treasures. And so he would say this kind of goofy little thing, your time, your talent, and your treasures. And so I always remember that. And that's why we're here today, is because you are giving your time, your talent, and your treasures. So please join me in prayer. Lord, we thank you for bringing us together for the Women Build breakfast. We thank you for the opportunity to serve others, for the strength to build, for the hope of safe and stable home ownership. Bless this event, bless our guests, and bless this food to our bodies. In your name we pray, amen. Please continue having a dialogue. We'll start up again in about 15 minutes.
Hello again. Hopefully everyone is enjoying their mochi donuts. I know our table is really enjoying those. This year, I am so excited to introduce two powerhouse Women Build co-chairs. They're leading our Women Build efforts. Deanna Strabel serves as President and CEO of Principal, and April Schmaltz serves as President and CEO of Delta Dental of Iowa. Both women have jumped right in. They're prioritizing engaging their friends, family, and network with this year's Women Build initiative. In fact, I heard that Deanna's Women Build team is comprised of up-and-coming female leaders from Principal that get to swing a hammer alongside the CEO. How cool is that? And I was just telling April this morning that as I've been out in the community, I keep hearing over and over again, hey, do you know April Schmaltz? Because she asked me if I wanted to get involved with this thing called the Women Build. And I love that. That makes me so excited. Thank you both for your time and talents. At this time, I'd like to invite April up here to get our program officially kicked off this morning.
Well, thank you, Clara. Well, welcome everyone. My name is April Schmaltz. As Clara mentioned, I am the president and CEO of Delta Dental of Iowa. And I am thrilled to be speaking with you this morning as co-chair of the 2025 Women Build. As we begin, I want to thank you for joining us in support of the Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity and the Women Build Fund. This event, along with the annual Women Build, provides critical support for female heads of households and families to purchase safe, stable, affordable homes. Unfortunately, home ownership feels out of reach for far too many of our neighbors, and the struggle is even tougher for women. Right here in Polk County, female householders with children under age 18 years of age have a median income that's $16,000 less than their male counterparts. Last year, though, 24 female householders purchased homes with an affordable mortgage through Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity. 24. This incredible generational impact would not have been possible without the support of the Women Build Fund, so thank you. Now, as Clara briefly mentioned, those of you who have attended our Women Build Luncheon in previous years should recognize the structure of this event, just with a different time and a little different menu. And you might recall, if you've been here in the past, that in 2023, we discussed the lifelong impacts of home ownership and what it has on women's health, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Last year, we explored the dramatic improvements in educational outcomes and the lifelong benefits that result from home ownership. And on behalf of Delta Dental, I would like to recognize the Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity for their focus on placemaking this year. The intentional planning, design, and management of public spaces with the intention of improving quality of life, community connection, and well-being. As a health and wellness company, Delta Dental is committed to improving the communities we serve, and we are so proud to be part of this critical work. So thank you, and let's get started with the program.
Thank you so much, April. Now at this time, I'd like to invite Lance Henning, CEO of Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity, up to the stage. Lance is going to recognize the organizations and individuals who are making this event possible.
Thank you, everyone, for being out today and helping to support the Women Build. We so much appreciate all of you being here. First, I would like to just recognize any of our elected officials. So if you are an elected official, so local, county, or other, please stand. Thank you for being here. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors, and the sponsors are so important for us to be able to have this event, to be able to have the conversation around placemaking and how it connects to home ownership and all that we do around providing home ownership with single female head of households on here. So we're thankful for those partners and being able to do that. Our sponsors, and you can see them on the back of your program on here too: Athene, Beiser Lumber Company, Corteva Agriscience, the Polk County Board of Supervisors, Symetra, Delta Dental, and then our presenting sponsor is Nationwide. And with Nationwide, I'd like to invite up Brad Liggett, who is the president of agribusiness at Nationwide, to be able to say a few words today.
Thank you, Lance. Good morning, everybody. I was just telling Lance that of all the events we go to, this is just such a great energy in this room. Same thing as last year. So we really appreciate y'all being here, and this is a fun event, isn't it? It's a lot of fun to come to. Lance mentioned my name is Brad Liggett. I'm the president of agribusiness at Nationwide. I am also a board member of Habitat for Humanity, and Nationwide is honored to, again this year, be the presenting sponsor. At Nationwide, our mission is to protect people, businesses, and futures with extraordinary care. This mission is a cornerstone to our company's values and our desire to be more than just a business. Just as individuals choose to engage and make a difference in their communities, companies must do the same. And most of these companies need to exhibit the responsibility to be proactive contributors, leveraging resources and talent and leadership to fortify and enhance the well-being of our communities, providing a nurturing environment where everyone can thrive. Our associates take immense pride, and we have many of our associates here today, they take immense pride in building Habitat for Humanity homes here in Des Moines and across the country. This is truly one of our most impactful and inspirational volunteer opportunities. On behalf of the nearly 2,300 associates in Central Iowa, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Lance and the Habitat for Humanity staff for this partnership and collaboration with Habitat for Humanity. This work truly does strengthen our communities. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Nationwide. Thank you to all the sponsors and all of you again for being here and being a part of this. So now we'd like to kick it off with a video, and so we'll show the video at this time.
What gives Central Iowa its regional distinctiveness? What makes you proud to be from here and to live here? Where are the places that you want to take your family and friends when they come to visit you? What are the places that you're excited to tell your neighbors about when you find them? Thoughtful and intentional placemaking has transformative power within a community. It is creation of spaces and opportunities for folks to connect across diverse groups, to engage their community, whether that be a public park or a green space, a trail system, a community garden, or even a festival that celebrates culture and music and food. Having a park in your neighborhood allows you to connect with your neighbors, allows you to have improved mental health, allows you to get exercise. So there's a lot of beauty in thoughtful placemaking in terms of making sure that everyone has equitable access to opportunities to thrive where they live.
It happens at a regional scale where we're talking about transportation issues, be it roadway, sidewalk design, transit, through more localized pedestrian sorts of issues, trees, landscaping, street level activity, safety features. And now at Iowa State, it really works that full spectrum where we're working with students and communities to try to help them introduce ideas about good quality place.
Housing is a critical component to every region's growth strategy. So folks need to be able to live where they work, and they need to be able to afford housing at the wages they're being paid for the work that they're doing. Whether that's a barista at your local coffee shop, whether it's a first responder who's working in the fire department, or a teacher in your public schools, or an executive leader at an insurance company, which we all know we have in Des Moines here. At Capital Crossroads, we think about housing in terms of making sure that everyone in Central Iowa has access to housing choice, that there is housing at multiple levels for incomes near where folks are working, and that it's located near amenities like public transportation, education, healthcare, retail, and that we're maintaining affordable housing for folks across the region.
There's a really strong nexus between housing and jobs. They can really be mutually supporting, I believe, or they can be mutually exclusive, which is what we really don't want. If you think about a family living in a place that has been thoughtfully designed with placemaking in mind, that family can spend far less time in their daily life traversing between school, spending time walking their kids across the street to school versus driving them 15 minutes back and forth to those same activities. Over the course of a week, they have gained 2 hours back to engage with a neighbor, to help a neighbor, to participate in a civic board in a way that they wouldn't have had the time for otherwise. Space can be anywhere, and it's really only through the engagement of people that makes it a place. And there are certain elements that help to build that place. Are there benches? Are there parking spaces within reasonable distance? Is there a way to safely ride a bike? That's the way that we make the places, is by making appropriate decisions about those investments. I think that placemaking can be a real key piece to social interactions. And it can work at a range of scales. It can work by introducing community spaces. It can work by introducing public art that draws people to places.
At its core, placemaking is about celebrating community, providing access to everyone to connect and to make memories and to engage with one another, regardless of where they live and where they're from.
So first, I wanted to thank Katie, who's over here, and Aaron for participating in our video. So let's do a round of applause for Katie. And then I wanted to take a moment to thank the staff that are here as well. So the Habitat team, they don't always get the recognition they deserve at these events, and they do so much good work putting these events on. So Emily's in the back, and I'm gonna really embarrass her and have her wave for a second, because yeah, there we go. So Emily and the whole team has done a really wonderful job putting the event together today. If you're on Habitat staff, would you stand up? They are a truly wonderful group of people, and a special thanks to Clara for emceeing our event today and being my consistent partner in making good trouble. So thank you, Clara. So when we were thinking about the theme for this year's event, and you heard a little bit about, we talked about the intersections in the past between housing and health and housing and education. Really, with placemaking, this quote came to mind and really has informed the program today. So this is from Jane Jacobs, and she says, "A sense of place is built up, in the end, from many little things. Some so small, people take them for granted, and yet the lack of them takes the flavor out of our city." And so what we want to talk about a little bit today in two brief conversations is some of those things that add flavor to our city and how we can all get invested in placemaking. So first, I'm going to invite up my friend Amanda Wonke, the CEO of DART, to talk a little bit about her work in placemaking.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Amanda. So will you tell our friends in the room a little bit about yourself and a little bit about DART? I assume people know, but just in case they don't.
Great. A couple of things to know about me. I did not grow up wanting to be a transit CEO. In fact, I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, and my first time taking public transit was when I went out to Washington, D.C. to go to school. And that was when I really learned how transit makes a difference in a community. One thing that I also heard during school, I went to a faith-based university, and I heard a quote that your vocation is where your greatest joys meet the world's greatest needs. And that has always driven me. So whether it's been a nonprofit or government or for-profit, how is there a need and how can I use my joy? And I love people. I love the people I lead, love the people we serve, love the people I get to work with, and I love the service we provide. And it meets a need in our community. And I know a lot of people in the room probably don't use DART. And we understand that. But you do know someone who uses it or who relies on it. In fact, we have more than 3.5 million people, or trips on DART last year. That's more than the airport. So when we think about our economy, when we think about our community, even if you don't use it, it is having a big impact.
When I think about the places and spaces that are important in our community, obviously, I think about how we get there, and that's really what you do. So talk a little bit about what that looks like in our community.
Yeah. If we want to have places that promote well-being, we need to make sure we have the access for people to get there. And access to opportunity is what transit is all about, is opening up doors for people to have that access. I know at one point, one of the slides will show the United Way's recent graph of and the Alice population, and that shows that it takes $86,000 for a family to have a survival budget for a year, $86,000 in income. The top 4 things in their budget include transportation. $930 a month is the average cost of home ownership. Our average rider, the majority of them all make less than $50,000 in their household. And so it is access to opportunity, access to spend that money on food or childcare or education or other things as well. So we want the access to that opportunity, and transit corridors are key to that. One of the things we love that we have been able to do with placemaking is connecting different opportunities, connecting different people to make a community. And our art shelter program is one of the ways we have done that. One of the top requests we get from riders is shelters, right? And we actually get it from non-riders. I'll have people reach out and be like, I hate seeing someone standing there in the snow. What can I do? Well, you might not know, putting in a shelter is very similar to building a small home. It costs about $30,000. You need right away, you need engineers. It's not an easy thing. So we continue to hear this need, and we also knew we wanted to make corridors in our community that we really focused on investing in and also made beautiful. And so we were able to work with Bravo and other community partners in order to add art to some of our shelters throughout the region, especially 6th Avenue and University Avenue have been 2 key corridors where we've been building art shelters so that we can bring together that form and function and give people that access to opportunity and make all the components of our area fit together and connect people.
When you look at that Alice's data, there's another piece of the bar graph that is pretty prevalent, so that housing component. And so we know that is a big area of spend for everyone in central Iowa, and especially those at the lowest income. And so when we think about that connection between transportation and housing, what does that look like for you and your riders?
Yeah. We all know, if you're following the headlines these days, that government services, we're not rolling in a lot of money. In fact, we know we're in an environment where people want lower taxes. Well, where we build things and how far we have to travel to get there makes a big difference, both in terms of the budget you spend, whether it's your gas or whether it's a bus, the diesel for a bus, whatever it might be, the more spread out we are, the more it costs us to get there. It also means the more travel time. And so when we're working within limited resources, we really need to think intentionally as a community about where we're putting our housing, where we're putting our jobs, and how people are going to get from one place to the next. I often have businesses reach out to me and say, hey, I built this business, can I get a bus stop? Like, well, I can put a bus stop anywhere. It doesn't mean that the bus is going to come there. And if it only comes once a day, it doesn't do you much good. So let's talk about what that looks like. So that thinking regionally, thinking about how people are going to move, thinking about time as an investment, and really how do we work together to make sure that we're building the region that makes this a place that people can easily live and work and connect to things they love and have robust lives.
When you think about a couple of must-happens in the future in central Iowa for transportation to make this all work and to really correlate to the placemaking, and then having people have access both to transportation and housing where they live and work, what are those 1 or 2 things that you feel like have to happen in our region?
Yeah, I think investment is a key thing. And however, different people have different ways they want to make that investment, whether that investment is giving to nonprofits, whether that investment is the taxes you're paying, whether it's as a business you're investing in your community. There's different ways to invest, but we need to lift up our community. And that is one thing, as you look at all of you, I'm sure, pay taxes. And really, I'm very supportive. In fact, my first job was working for a Republican congressman, and he was all about low taxes. I support low taxes. But take a moment to look at the ROI on your taxes and think about what that is trying to build for your community and what you believe in, and have conversations with your elected officials about that. Because you might not use the fire department all the time. You might not go to the library every year, but you want those things for your community. And housing, transportation, economic development, those are all components that we support in one way or another through our taxes and our funding as well. So be actively involved in understanding that. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know just from talking to you briefly that advocacy and using your voice is something you're really passionate about. And everyone in this room can do that in many different ways. So you mentioned speaking to your elected officials about what is really important to the folks in this room. What else can they do? If they had one takeaway today from you, what would it be?
Yeah, I think one takeaway would be pay attention to local politics. Our federal politics get all the headlines, and it's less about the politics in my mind than about the government. I quickly learned for myself that I like the government because that is where the impact to the people happen. The politics is necessary to reflect what our people want and necessary to get there, but it's about the government. And what happens locally makes a huge difference in your community. And I think you'll hear that with the next speaker as well. So pay attention to what's happening and read the stories, dig in a little bit deeper, dig in a little bit more to your tax bill. And again, speak up for the things that you want and you believe are important for your community.
Amanda, I love that message. I think that that's something we try and preach at Habitat is how we can build louder is by building together and using our voices, and all of our voices matter. And talking about what you're passionate about with those elected officials is certainly important. So I know we could talk for a lot longer, but I am going to have my friend Margaret come up. So thank you, Amanda. If we can give Amanda a round of applause. Margaret, hello.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Margaret is the president of the King Irving Neighborhood Association, and we're going to talk a little bit about what I think is a really phenomenal example of placemaking, and that's Evelyn K. Davis Park. But first, Margaret, why don't you tell the friends in the room a little bit about yourself?
Oh, gosh. So, lived many years. Had a life at Principal Financial Group, started with my corporate understanding and worked in multiple departments. But then actually, one of the things I did worked a lot with single moms because I was working with 50 sales offices around the country. And most of those were moms, women who were support staff to the sales team, and they needed that economic support. And so it made me have that change of heart to sort of go towards nonprofit, because I believe in that teach a man to fish philosophy. But also, I looked at the fact that you needed that background of policy, but you also needed people, you needed individuals that were there. You just didn't have the public-private partnership, but you also had the people that were involved. And that we really had to get those individuals involved. And I think in terms of my connection then and affiliation and kindred spirit with Habitat was because you put the families first. I just got a chance to meet Jen from your staff, who's one of the financial coordinators, but helping individuals understand their finances, helping them to get homes and stability. And that piece of it was just extremely important.
Well, the work that you do in the neighborhood is extremely important. I want to talk a little bit more about that. And also, I thought train noise was going to be our issue, but I think we've got some interesting mic noise going on. So thank you for bearing with us, and maybe we'll still hit a train here in a little bit. So I think truly Evelyn K. Davis Park, as I've watched it grow through my years at Habitat and change and develop, has been a really phenomenal example of people coming together to make a really brilliant space that works for the community. Will you talk a little bit about how that's happened and how the neighborhood's really gotten involved?
Well, there's probably people here that know more about the actual history of Evelyn K. Davis Park, but the reason that it's named for Evelyn K. Davis is because she was the instrumental in the Mid-City Vision project, and that part of that was making sure that there was a library.
I think it's both of our mics talking to each other, so.
Okay, I'll try to go over here. But she was instrumental in seeing the vision for getting the library in place, Forest Avenue Library. There used to be a mid-city library that was inadequate, very small. But she was part of petitioning and getting the funding together, working with Bill Knapp, working with Jim County and others in the community. And because of that, she had Tiny Tots organization that lasted for 50 years. She saw the kids and the families, and she knew what was there, and that was the people component, is that she spoke to that, and to be able to rally and get city and individuals involved. And so when that happened and that occurred, when we see the park today the way it is, I think she'd be pleased because it has, yeah, it's really expanded. The picture that you see there that's up right now is the park, and we have an art project that's there that happened with the art foundation that's here in Des Moines, along working with Aaron Graves with Des Moines Parks and Rec, and also the community to help with the design and how it looked in terms of attracting. That piece of art was done by national artists, and it is considered one of the best in the country. So they have the new basketball court that's attractive there. We have 2 shelters. We have equipment. We have exercise equipment. We have playground equipment. But we also have that convening space that's there. And that convening space has been a big part of our neighborhood association, King Irving Neighborhood Association. But we also connect with the other surrounding neighborhood associations around us. So that park has become our central focus, to the point that we will have 3 of big events there. One, June 6th coming up, called the Safe Summer Kickoff, where we give programs, nonprofit organizations come, we have events, we have job opportunities and things like that for kids and for their families. And so that kicks off our Safe Summer Kickoff from there.
What kind of opportunities are there for neighborhood residents to engage both at the park, but also in creating the way the park looks today?
So in terms of engaging in the park, one of the things that you'll find there, I was over there like a few weeks ago, one of the first beautiful days that we had where the leaves were out, and nice. And the park was filled with families and kids and activity. And we know that there's other programs that are out there that help individuals, that talk about, addressing problems in the community. But we see that if you fill those public spaces with positive activity, those things are going on. So there was a soccer team that was practicing over there. There were kids on the basketball court. There were kids playing. A family had a picnic going on. They looked like they were having a birthday celebration. And that's what we want to see. I mean, that's how the neighbors can be involved.
You mentioned habitat and the neighbors surrounding the park. What do you think matters the most with the interaction between the park and then the housing there? What does that look like, and how has it changed?
Well, the housing has definitely improved in terms of the park, and the park has become a drawing card for neighborhoods, for neighbors around. So working with the housing programs that have been there, Habitat last year, we got a chance to be the recipients of Rock the Block. And so we had a big celebration there. It just happened to coincide with the artists who were painting on the basketball court. They came from Florida and from California, and they were commenting on the beauty of the park, and they joined us for lunch. But they were saying how they're around the country. I think one said he had done over 60-some murals around the country, and another 50-some. And we're saying that they consider that one of the nicest experiences that they had in terms of being included in terms of the neighborhood and the inclusiveness and the diversity that we have in their neighborhood.
Well, I think you almost said you were the host for the Rock the Block, and I think that's way more accurate than the recipient. So certainly a participant and a partner in that work. And as we think about the home preservation work that's happened around the park and in the neighborhood, and then the new home construction and renovation, I mentioned it, but I've seen a ton of change. And living in the neighborhood, I'm sure you've seen it in a very different way. So when I think about that and all of the opportunities the park brings, it brings me back to the video where both Katie and Aaron talked about how placemaking needs to be equitable, how we need to have that opportunity for everyone. And so I think, again, the park's location makes that very unique. Will you talk a little bit more about that and how it brings forward some of that equitable access to those opportunities?
Well, I think in terms of that, we have the park is accessible to everyone. I think probably the other piece that's very unique to it is the library that's there. And so we actually will see kids coming out with books and reading in the library and reading in the park. And so at our Safe Summer Kickoff, the library gives away those books for the kids, and that's been a big opportunity. But I see it as that the diversity that we have in the community clearly reflects I would say, actually Habitat's work that they've been doing in terms of helping individuals get into housing. And so when we see that, how it's grown, it's allowed that affordable housing to help individuals to be a part of that neighborhood and to be a part of that thriving component.
We've been appreciative to be part of it and to be a partner in that work for sure, and would love to see the opportunity for parks like Evelyn K. Davis all over the metro that provide that same opportunity, because I think it is really unique and one of a kind. So I'll ask you the same question I asked Amanda. You've got a captive audience of a couple hundred folks. How can they get involved in making these spaces in their own neighborhoods?
Well, I think in every neighborhood, it's just getting out and enjoying the park and enjoying the facilities that are there. But the other part is really taking a look and listening to individuals in the community that have needs to see what's missing in terms of that park. So one of the great components, we just were the recipient of the launch grant for neighborhoods from Habitat. And part of that was it's a $1,000 grant and says, what would you do with this to help improve community? So Joanne Muldoon, our former president and treasurer now, she mentioned having a bike station. And I don't know if any of you have been on the trails and you've seen the bike stations that are there. That bike station is there with tools on it, but it also has a pump. And one of the things that the neighborhood is going to do is provide the sports ball adapter to help blow up sports balls. There is nothing sadder than watching kids on the basketball court with a ball that just does not bounce, right? And we have seen that way too many times. And so we are going to be including that adapter in the park, and that will be installed if you come June 6th for our Safe Summer Kickoff. You will see our dedication for that in terms of that piece of equipment. So when I say take a look at what your park has and what it doesn't have, I mean, we have soccer, we have futsal, we have football played there, we have all these things with kids and sports, and they have their bikes. And that have flat tires or chain comes off, and at least we have the bike station that's going to be there. I think we're actually going to have somebody there that's going to help give classes on how to repair bikes too for kids. So it's just saying what is needed in terms of a community and what you do, and saying how can you step up. And so for us, you can see like the activities that we have is out on our website, on our kingirvingneighborhood.org website, of things that are happening. But take time to just look and just listen to the people that are there and see what's happening. And as we said with our prayer opening, to give your time, talent, and treasure.
Well, Margaret, did you have more? I don't want to cut you off. I think we could talk for an hour, so I appreciate you sharing a little bit more about the park. And yes, if you have some final words, that would be great.
So I just want to acknowledge that King Irving Neighborhood is a 501c3. It's been around for over 30 some years. But I want to really acknowledge two of the past presidents. And if you could stand, Jean Minahan and Joanne Muldoon. They have been instrumental over the years in terms of the park, the library, all of the amenities that we have in our neighborhood and how we interact with the schools and kids. And if anybody wants to know anything, they are experts on a lot of the pieces that go on.
When we think about how we engage in a neighborhood, the first thing we always want to do is talk to the neighborhood association about, do you want us here? Do you want to partner? And I feel like you always say yes, so we appreciate that. And we appreciate working with a group of hand raisers that really want to get it done. So Margaret, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lance. I've worked with Lance for a long time, and also with Victoria Moon, who gives us those opportunities and connection through Habitat. So I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you. And can we do one more round of applause for both Margaret and Amanda? So the next thing we want to do is share one more way that you can get involved. So we've talked about placemaking, the intersection between that and what the spaces and places and housing really, how they talk to each other, how they work together. But now we want to focus a little bit on the Women Build Fund, what it is and how you all can get involved.
Where I come from, we don't trust or we don't believe that women were so much strong, they can do our physical work. But man is a breadwinner, but coming here, women, men equal. There is nothing different. So women has the same knowledge, same skills, and same power that they can do whatever they want to do it and whatever they want to achieve. 18 to 20 years not having a proper house. When I got a house, I was crying. Happy tears. They have their own room, and we have our own room. We have a garden, we have a kitchen, everything is there. So, big space, family time, we can invite our guests, have a feast together, meals together. I'm so grateful to have a Habitat house. With all this gratitude, with all those volunteers and Habitat, and kids get more room.
The Women Build Fund is about supporting the life-changing effects of home ownership and providing families and female-led households with the security and the stability that comes with owning an affordable home. The need in our community is so great that we don't want to limit our volunteerism with our Women Build to one address, but really spread it across Des Moines and Central Iowa to make a bigger impact for the families who partner with Habitat.
I was chair of the Women Build with Dottie Thurston in 2013. And I continue to support the Women Build every single year. It's never any issue to recruit women to be on Team Hammered. We're really proud of our team, and we have a lot of fun together. You can see the transition that happens on site. Women come to the site and whisper things like, "I don't think I can do that." And then they end up doing it. There's something about women and power tools which is really, really extraordinary.
It's just a natural thing for our family at this point. I mean, and
Giving back.
thanks to my mom.
Right, you just have to find what is important to you and make the time. And working with Habitat allows us to help to provide something to a family, but what we receive is equal, if not more, to what the family might receive from the volunteers.
Once people say that they're excited to be involved, it catches and the excitement grows and the money raised and all of the things that are going on. We had women who had never even thought about coming out and using power tools. And as women, we know that the majority of the work is being completed by these people who probably never even knew that they were capable of such feats. What you get out of it is so wonderful that really there's no reason to be on the fence.
One day, there was a gal there that I didn't know, and she came to me and she said, "I saw this story on the news last night, and I'm a painter. So I came to be a part of this project, but it was the strength of all the women and their ability to make this happen for this family that convinced her to come out and be a part of the Women Build."
We're in a housing crisis right now, and when women are making less money than men, that means that they are disproportionately affected when it comes to affording a safe, decent home. The Women Build is a key piece of that puzzle. I've watched it grow and expand. In more than 15 women builds, I think we're just setting the stage for what's possible in the future. I want to see the Women Build Fund grow even further. How can we make this an investment that's endowed into the well-being of Habitat homebuyers for the next 10, 25, 50 years? Some of my greatest joys have been saying yes when the opportunity arises. So now I invite you, say yes, come along with me and be part of our Women Build Fund. Whether it's making a gift or rolling up your sleeves or inviting someone to come with you. Join us. Thank you, everybody. And let's give a good round of applause to the 3 folks featured in our video. Tika, you are amazing. I'm so thankful to know you. Tika purchased a Habitat home more than a decade ago, 2013, I believe. And then Mary Lou and Lizzie, I believe you were involved in 2013 with Tika. Thank you for your continued advocacy, and thank you, Team Hammered. At this time, I'd like to bring Deanna Strable up to share a little bit more about the Women Build Fund and how you can get involved.
So I like that Team Hammered. I think we could have had a lot more volunteers if we would have started with that. So good morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Deanna Strable, and I'm super proud to join April, who you heard from earlier, as co-chair for the 2025 Women Build. Also, as mentioned earlier, I serve as the president and CEO of Principal Financial Group, which has a demonstrated history here in the community of Des Moines of giving back and supporting Habitat and what we do in our community. Ultimately, this event is something that means something very special to me, and it goes beyond what you just heard about in the video. Building was my grandfather's business and part of my dad's livelihood for many years here in Central Iowa. He took great pride in his work, and we even built a deck together on our house just south here of Des Moines prior to the week I started full-time at Principal. That deck is never going anywhere. The house may go, but that deck will never go anywhere. Now that my father's passed away, that's a memory I'll never forget. The other thing that made it easy for me to say yes to participating as a co-chair was I've participated in a build 4 to 5 times here in Des Moines with members of my team from Principal. There were always team members that reluctantly came along. There were other team members that jumped right in, but it was always a wonderful team building experience, a rewarding experience, and ultimately made the team more effective, but was a great thing to give back to the community. We obviously don't build houses at Principal, but our purpose is to foster a world where financial security is accessible to all. We do that here in Iowa, we do it in all 50 states, and we also do it around the globe. We believe everyone deserves the security to pursue their dreams and make progress towards their goal. And as we've heard a number of times already here today, homeownership that Habitat supports is such a meaningful way that's a critical piece of financial security. We also believe strongly in giving back to our community. We heard a lot of examples of how a community and a vitality of that community helps not just the people that live there, but the colleagues that work there as well. As you're probably aware, Des Moines is our world headquarters. We have over 7,000 employees that live here in Central Iowa, and we have continued to give back to places like the Principal Riverwalk, the Icon Water Trails, to ultimately improve the quality of life and to bring community by bringing people together. I'm super proud to co-chair the Women's Build to make a difference in women's lives and support Habitat for Humanity. As I wrap up today, I have a few asks. First of all, make a financial gift to support the Women's Build. As of this morning, we are only $10,000 short of our $100,000 goal. I don't think we're going to just meet our goal. We're going to exceed it with the help of everyone here. The other thing is to consider giving of your time to either serve as a team captain or to be on a team. We've had an incredible response thus far. I think we have 28 teams already, which exceeded the goal that April and I were given. But I know we can do so much more as well. So regardless of either of those, we make it very easy for you. At your table, at your seat, you can scan the QR code, and that will allow you to either register as a team captain or to make a gift or to participate in any way that you want to. However you choose to engage, whether it be of your money or your time, your support for the Women's Build is going to make a tangible difference in elevating the community that we all call home. Thank you for being here today, for supporting this incredible work, and I look forward to working with all of you on this journey together. Thank you.